Hi everyone, I'm ZeeZee and this is ZeeZee Talks. Today we'll be talking about emotional abuse and how to recognize when it's creeping into your marriage. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. So like I mentioned, we'll be talking about emotional abuse today. It's just when there's this feeling, this nagging feeling that something isn't quite right with the way your spouse is treating you, something's a bit off key, and that particular feeling is what might be the onset of emotional leading up to possibly physical abuse. We'll be talking about that today because I'll be answering a question that I received from a lady very concerned that things don't seem quite right in her marriage. So stay right there. So I did receive an email from a lady who isn't so very sure that what she's experiencing is normal in marriage. So she wrote to me asking me for help because her husband has not really been there for her. So the lady wrote in, "My husband is not the emotional type and he doesn't talk much. He spends most of his time at the office, and when he is away, he never really checks in. He doesn't like me to be or to have many friends, and he doesn't allow my family visit very often. In fact, since I met him, I have lost contact with most of my old friends. I have tried communicating this to him, but all he does is shrug and leave the room. I don't know what else to do, and I am getting very fed up and frustrated." Thanks for your email. I can totally understand why this situation can be very frustrating for you. When you got married, you weren't expecting to not have a companion. You weren't expecting to be isolated from the rest of the world. You were expecting this beautiful beginning, building with someone else, and certainly you weren't thinking you would be isolated from your spouse, who is the person you're supposed to be building with. Now, based on your email, you did mention how long you have been married, but I'm assuming that since you're reaching out to me and you're sounding frustrated, this situation might have been going on for a long time. So you mentioned, and first I'd like to say that there's no such thing as my husband is not the emotional type. When you get married, you lose every single right to say, I'm not the talking type or I'm not the emotional type. No. Yes, it might be difficult for you to show your emotions, but unfortunately, you're no longer in a relationship by yourself. You have someone else who you have to take care of. You have someone else who you are emotionally responsible for, just as you're responsible for them financially, spiritually, and so on and so forth. So your husband actually has lost the right to not speak with you or to not have communication with you, and he's lost the right to separate you from people as well because he's not even telling you the reason why he's doing all of this. I'm sure you guys have heard me say that communication is the lifeline of every relationship. So if you've gotten married and your spouse is now deciding they don't want to talk to you, then technically you're not in a relationship, you're not in a marriage, you're solo. So what do you do about this? It's very important that you understand that there's no one size fits all. I will give you a few suggestions, and again, they might not be options for you because I'm not sure exactly what the situation is. Do you have children? Are you working? Are you financially able to stand by yourself? And so on and so forth. But I'll tell you what I think. So based on your email, you have tried talking to him about it, but he doesn't say anything and he walks away. I'm also going to assume that you've probably already talked to someone else, maybe like a mentor or a pastor, and things might not be changing. So now, based on the fact that you're not really in a relationship because your spouse is not talking to you, and based on the fact that you have tried to talk to other people to kind of get him to the table to have discussions with you, and that's still not working, the one suggestion that I might give you, or what I would have to say, is you might actually need to separate yourself from your husband. Now, I'm not asking you to divorce him. What I am asking you is to take time away from this relationship so you can actually get his attention long enough to come to the table to have and to start having discussions about what's going on. You're not going to be able to live like this forever. I know based on our society as well, it's like, hey, she's leaving her husband. Well, you know what? Sometimes it is necessary for spouses to do what is right, and they don't always do that. So sometimes you might have to take the bull by the horn to get people's attention. When you separate from your husband, if he comes to the table to start having discussions with you, that's not the time to just move back into your house because guess what? He's better. No, it might actually be time for the both of you at that stage to then solicit the help of a counselor. Because what's happening with your husband now, separating you from the world, separating himself from you and just isolating you, is he might be actually dealing with very deep issues from his past, which someone actually has to dig up. So if he comes back to you just because he's seen that you've separated from him and he wants you back, that doesn't necessarily mean that whatever those issues he's dealing with have gone away or have changed. So that's the reason why you might need proper help to kind of walk you guys through what a real marriage looks like. There's communication involved. There's effective conflict resolution involved. You have to talk about your roles. You have to talk about your responsibility. What are your needs? You have to talk about all these things. And unfortunately, if you go back into the situation without handling all these parts of your marriage, what's going to happen is you're going to fall right back into where you are right now. So now I know, I'm not sure again if you have kids and how tricky that situation would be, but to be very honest with you, I mean, say from praying, yes, I mean, we can pray, but guys, listen, God has given us a brain and God has given us a heart. We also have the responsibility to do what's right. So you could pray from now till tomorrow, and if your spouse doesn't see the need to talk to you, or if he keeps seeing the need to isolate you from people, you're literally going to live like this till the end. And I don't mean to sound like I am the doomsday bearer, but I like to tell the truth. And the truth here is, if you don't get your spouse's attention long enough to come to the table to start fixing the issues that you're dealing with, your marriage might really just not be a marriage. No one can survive by just taking care of kids and going to work and coming back and just not having their spouse. That's not what marriage is about. You're building, you're forming a union, you're building a solid future with someone, you're visioning something. The both of you are working towards that vision for you, for him, for the entire family. So when one aspect of that is fallen off or has fallen off the bandwagon, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to have anything. So this is my suggestion today. Again, not one size fits all. I'm not sure exactly what the details are about what you have to deal with if you're financially able to make this move. But I think these are the types of things that we need to start doing to get the attention of our spouses, and more importantly, to get professional help. Thank you so much for writing in. Now, does anybody else have something to say to this lady who's written in today? Please comment below this video. I would really like for you to also share this with people who you think might be in the same situation. Like the video as well if something I said has resonated with you. You can absolutely reach out to me via email, confidential of course, questions@ZeeZeeIO.com. And for everyone who says, you know, my marriage is okay, but I just don't know how to communicate or talk or get my spouse to listen to me, I have a free 3-part audio on my website, ZeeZeeIO.com. So you can go there and download this communication and conflict resolution audio to learn how to start talking and communicating with your spouse. I really appreciate the time that I get to hang out with you, and I really hope that you get to handle the situation, like I have mentioned, quite seriously, because there's not just one thing that will help you to get through this. I really hope that things work out for you, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me again if you have more questions about what I have said. Thank you for your time. Thanks for everything, and I do appreciate the time you take talking with me. This is ZeeZee, and I am still on a mission to help keep your relationship together. Have a glorious day.